Now some people might suggest this would have been a golden opportunity for the ex-royal known as Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, to simply redeem herself, get in favour. Let's not forget, of course, her reputation is in tatters ever since she decided to put out that twerking video, right, chums? But seemingly she's not for the sisterhood at all, as ever. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you. You all right? I'm not so bad, thank you. We'll have a nice wave. Welcome one and all, of course, brand new subscribers. I'm glad you've joined us. As I often say, we're a friendly group. Don't be shy to get involved. Offer an opinion. Please no swearing. We're all respectable. And of course, we like to know what's going on in the world. If you're near somebody and they want a conversation, do try and connect with them. It's always good to have some, connection with each other. We don't always want to sit alone, don't we? What you do, you wish I'd I'm pulling your leg, of course, but you know what I'm saying. Now, when you think about it, the story that everybody's, I think, sick to the back teeth of hearing about from Meghan Markle is when she had the soap thing at 11. We all know that was a complete tissue of lies, it's popped together by her father, but, she hijacked it. Suddenly it's all about Meghan and how she managed to get a global company like Procter & Gamble to listen to an 11-year-old girl, and guess what? They changed everything. Oh, everything, because, well, she decided, right? Now, here's where it gets interesting, because there's a bit of a catfight going on with a true Hollywood A-lister. I met this lady, Brooke Shields, a lovely, lovely lady. Just one of those kind people. When you meet them and you think, I can get on with them. She was lovely. And let's not forget, she'd starred in a film I remember a lot, actually, when I was a teenager, The Blue Lagoon. Didn't it look nice where she was filming? And apparently it was. What was interesting, though, is, at that particular conference, Katie Couric encouraged Meghan, and I pointed this out before, to be a little bit unkind, to say the least, to say, talk to us about the soap thing, and Harry, as I said, was clapping like a seal in the background. Now, as we all know, Brooke Shields interjected and basically tried to lighten the room, as she said, by telling the team exactly what she was doing when she was 11 years old.
About washing dishes, and only soap for washing dishes was for women, and she said, I didn't think only women wash dishes. It wasn't fair, so I wrote to the company. And when I was 11, I wrote my first letter, and then I was 11, and she kept saying she was 11. So she writes to the company, they changed the text, they changed the commercial, and I go, excuse me, I'm so sorry, guys, just interrupt you there for 1 minute. I was trying not to be rude, but I wanted to be funny because it was so serious. And I just want to give everybody here a context as to how we're different. I said, well, when I was 11, I was playing a prostitute.
Playing a lady of the night, but there you go. And now this has created an absolute uproar because, of course, it popped out onto a podcast, and suddenly, Brooke Shields is being pillarized on social media, trolled, all the usual stuff. And here's where it gets interesting. Another lady, also India Hicks, the goddaughter of course, His Majesty the King, she too had to take something down because they're frightened of being attacked. Now, as I said, what's fascinating about this is whether you agree with what they said or what they didn't say, India Hicks or indeed Brooke Shields, the thing you could do if you were in Meghan Markle's shoes, and let's be honest, she's always rushing to her own Instagram, would be to simply get on your Instagram and say, back off Brooke, back off India, we're all girls together, I'm not offended, I'm not upset, please leave them alone. Does she? No. The silence is deafening. And as I said, you see before, what's fascinating in the world of Meghan and Harry, they definitely like to play the victims. Harry very quickly points out that he never said people were racist, yet it's documented, and there it is. Meghan Markle, as I said, really could do herself a lot of favours, particularly in this climate where her popularity is plummeting faster than one of her souffles, if she ever made one, in that As Ever With Love Meghan, right? But no, the silence. Now, as I said, I feel sorry for Brooke in India. They should be allowed to have their opinion. They're not being negative, it's not being slight. Brooke's explained the reasons behind it, but seemingly no support. And as I said, the podcast has now had to be taken down. With one simple message, or indeed a leaked message out to her favourite magazine like People or Us Weekly, everything could have been so different, and perhaps people might have seen a kinder, warmer, softer side to Meghan Markle. Not meant to be though, right? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.